Have you ever wondered why some gardens seem to thrive with very little effort while others require constant work? You plant your seeds, water them regularly, and hope for a great harvest. But before long, pests appear, diseases spread, and growth slows. Meanwhile, other gardeners seem to enjoy basket after basket of fresh vegetables with ease. What's their secret? It isn't always better fertilizer or complicated techniques. More often, it's choosing the right vegetables. Some crops are naturally hardy, productive, and forgiving. They grow well in average soil, tolerate small mistakes, and continue producing without demanding constant attention. In today's video, we'll share 8 of the easiest vegetables to grow. Whether you're a beginner, have limited time, or simply want a productive garden with less effort, these reliable crops are an excellent place to start. Let's get growing. 1. Zucchini. If you're looking for a vegetable that gives an incredible harvest with very little effort, zucchini deserves a place at the top of your list. It's one of the clearest examples that successful gardening doesn't have to be difficult. Once the plant settles into the garden, its growth is nothing short of impressive. A tiny seedling quickly develops into a large, vigorous plant covered with broad leaves and thick stems that spread rapidly across the bed. But its fast growth is only the beginning. The real excitement starts when the plant begins producing fruit. One healthy zucchini plant is capable of supplying an astonishing number of squash throughout the season. Even better, regular harvesting actually encourages the plant to produce even more flowers and fruit. Instead of slowing down after picking, it often becomes even more productive. The cycle continues for weeks. Harvest. New flowers appear. More zucchini develops. Repeat. This generous production makes zucchini especially appealing for beginners. It's also a surprisingly forgiving crop. It doesn't demand perfect soil or flawless care. Even if watering isn't always consistent or conditions aren't ideal, zucchini usually continues growing with very few complaints. Give it plenty of sunshine, occasional watering, fertile soil, and enough space to spread, and the plant handles most of the work on its own. Its oversized leaves provide another useful advantage. They naturally shade the soil, helping retain moisture, reduce evaporation, and suppress many weeds before they have a chance to grow. Before long, what was once an empty section of the garden becomes lush, green, and full of life. Then comes the harvest, often sooner than expected. Zucchini develops incredibly fast. Miss checking the garden for a couple of days, and a perfectly sized squash may suddenly become much larger than you anticipated. For many gardeners, growing zucchini isn't the difficult part. Finding enough recipes to use it all can become the real challenge. Fortunately, sharing baskets of fresh zucchini with neighbors, friends, and family is a wonderful problem to have. It's not a sign you've planted too much. It's a sign your garden is thriving. 2. Cherry tomatoes. If growing large tomatoes has ever seemed intimidating, cherry tomatoes provide a much simpler and more reliable alternative. They're easier to grow, mature more quickly, and often produce far more consistently than larger tomato varieties. While full-size tomatoes can sometimes struggle with changing weather, uneven watering, or less than perfect soil, cherry tomatoes are generally much more forgiving. Even when growing conditions aren't ideal, they usually continue flowering and setting fruit with remarkable reliability. Once the vines become established, the harvest seems almost endless. Small clusters of tomatoes begin appearing along the stems, followed by new blossoms that soon develop into additional fruit. Rather than producing one large harvest, cherry tomatoes continue growing and ripening over an extended season. It's common to see flowers, tiny green tomatoes, nearly ripe fruit, and bright red tomatoes all on the same plant at once. This steady production means fresh tomatoes are available again and again instead of all at once. Caring for cherry tomatoes is refreshingly simple. Provide plenty of sunlight, water them consistently, and give the vines something to climb. A tomato cage, bamboo stake, trellis, or even a sturdy string is usually all they need to keep growing upright and keep the fruit clean. Beyond those basics, they ask for very little attention. Another reason they're so popular is their ability to thrive in limited spaces. Cherry tomatoes perform exceptionally well in containers, making them perfect for patios, balconies, decks, rooftops, or compact backyard gardens. Even gardeners with very little room can harvest bowl after bowl of fresh tomatoes. Picking them is just as easy. Their color clearly indicates when they're ripe, and a gentle squeeze quickly confirms they're ready to eat. In many cases, they travel only a few steps from the vine straight to your kitchen. One of the greatest pleasures of growing cherry tomatoes is how frequently you harvest them. Instead of waiting weeks for a few large tomatoes, you'll often collect handfuls every few days throughout the season. That regular harvest becomes one of the most enjoyable parts of gardening. Cherry tomatoes don't expect perfection. They don't demand constant supervision. They simply continue climbing, blooming, and producing delicious fruit with remarkable consistency, making them one of the easiest and most rewarding vegetables any gardener can grow. 3. Green onions. While zucchini impresses with abundance, green onions stand out because of their incredible reliability. They're among the simplest vegetables to grow, whether you have a spacious vegetable garden, a small patio, or nothing more than a sunny kitchen windowsill. One of their biggest advantages is how easily they get started. In fact, you may not even need to purchase seeds. The white root ends from green onions bought at the grocery store can simply be placed in a glass of water or planted directly into moist soil. Within just a few days, fresh green shoots begin emerging, providing new growth almost immediately. But the real beauty of green onions lies in their ability to regenerate. Harvest the leafy tops while leaving the roots undisturbed, and before long, new shoots begin growing again. Continue repeating this simple process, and the same plants can provide multiple harvests over time. Very few vegetables offer such an effortless cycle of regrowth. Green onions are also ideal for small space gardening. Because they grow vertically instead of spreading outward, dozens of plants can fit into a relatively small container or garden bed. They're perfectly suited to raised beds, window boxes, balcony planters, patio pots, and indoor containers. They're equally adaptable when it comes to light. Although they grow fastest in full sun, they also perform well with partial sunlight, making them one of the easiest vegetables to grow indoors. Another reason gardeners appreciate green onions is their low-maintenance nature. They rarely experience serious pest infestations, resist many common diseases, and require no staking, pruning, or complicated care routines. Simply water them occasionally, provide adequate light, and allow them to grow. They're also one of the most practical ingredients to have close at hand. Fresh green onions add flavor to soups, salads, scrambled eggs, stir-fries, baked potatoes, sandwiches, and countless other meals. Instead of buying them repeatedly, you simply harvest exactly what you need whenever you're preparing dinner. There's something deeply satisfying about that simplicity. No complicated techniques, no long waiting periods, no unnecessary effort. Just grow, harvest, regrow, and enjoy. Once you discover how easy green onions are to maintain, you'll likely wonder why you didn't start growing them much sooner. 4. Radishes. If you're the kind of gardener who loves quick results, radishes are hard to beat. Among all the vegetables you can grow, they're some of the fastest to reach harvest. While many crops require weeks or even months of waiting, radishes are often ready to pull from the ground in just 3 to 4 weeks after planting. The transformation happens surprisingly fast. You plant a handful of tiny seeds. Before you know it, crisp, colorful roots are waiting beneath the soil. Their rapid development offers another major advantage. Since radishes mature so quickly, they often avoid many of the problems that affect slower-growing crops. Common pests, plant diseases, and changing weather conditions usually need time to cause serious damage, but radishes are frequently harvested before those issues become significant. Another reason gardeners appreciate them is their adaptability. They don't demand rich, perfectly prepared soil or complicated growing methods. Radishes perform well in traditional garden beds, raised planters, containers, and even small empty spaces between larger vegetables. Many gardeners use them to fill gaps in the garden or squeeze in an extra harvest between major growing seasons. Their care couldn't be much simpler. Keep the soil lightly moist with regular watering, avoid letting it dry out completely, and the plants generally take care of the rest. Harvesting radishes is one of the most satisfying experiences in the garden because the edible portion remains hidden underground until the very end. Every time you gently pull one from the soil, there's a small sense of surprise as a smooth, crunchy root emerges from beneath the surface. For beginners, few vegetables provide more confidence. You don't spend months wondering whether everything is growing correctly. Instead, you plant the seeds, water them consistently, and enjoy fresh vegetables only a few weeks later. That early success often encourages gardeners to plant even more crops and continue building their gardening skills. 5. Lettuce. Lettuce has earned its reputation as one of the easiest vegetables to grow, making it a perfect choice for beginners and experienced gardeners alike. One of its greatest advantages is that it requires very little space. It grows beautifully in raised beds, shallow containers, window boxes, balcony planters, and even small patio gardens. You don't need a large backyard to enjoy a steady supply of fresh, homegrown greens. Lettuce is also more flexible than many vegetables when it comes to sunlight. Although it thrives in bright conditions, it tolerates partial shade remarkably well. This makes it an excellent option for areas where other vegetables may struggle to produce a good harvest. Perhaps its biggest advantage is the way it's harvested. Instead of removing the entire plant at once, you simply pick the larger outer leaves while leaving the center untouched. The plant continues producing fresh new leaves, allowing you to harvest again and again from the same planting. This popular cut-and-come-again method turns one planting into weeks of continuous harvests. It's simple, it's efficient, and it requires almost no extra effort. Lettuce also grows quickly, especially during the cooler temperatures of spring and fall. While some vegetables struggle outside the heat of summer, lettuce often performs at its best, providing reliable harvests during seasons when many other crops slow down. Another reason it's so popular is the incredible variety available. Whether you enjoy crisp romaine, tender butterhead, loose leaf varieties, or colorful salad mixes, there's a type of lettuce to suit every taste without making gardening any more difficult. Unlike vegetables that provide one large harvest at the end of the season, lettuce rewards you continuously. Pick only what you need. Fresh leaves, fresh flavor, fresh salads whenever you want them. Very little work produces an almost constant supply of healthy greens throughout the growing season. 6. Spinach. Spinach is one of those reliable vegetables that quietly gets the job done. It doesn't demand complicated care, constant maintenance, or a large amount of growing space. Instead, it simply grows steadily and rewards you with nutritious harvests throughout the season. Once the seeds sprout, spinach develops surprisingly quickly. Before long, the bed or container is filled with lush green leaves that are ready to harvest whenever you need them. One of spinach's greatest strengths is that it doesn't stop after a single harvest. Just like lettuce, you can remove the larger outer leaves while leaving the center of the plant untouched. New leaves continue to grow, allowing you to enjoy multiple harvests from the same plants over an extended period. Spinach especially shines during cooler weather. It thrives in early spring and autumn, often producing excellent growth when many warm-season vegetables begin slowing down. This makes it a valuable crop for extending the productivity of your garden beyond the hottest months of the year. Its versatility is another major advantage. Whether planted in raised beds, traditional gardens, containers, or compact urban spaces, spinach adapts with ease. It doesn't require deep soil or perfect growing conditions, just consistent moisture, reasonably fertile soil, and a moderate amount of sunlight. Nutritionally, spinach offers tremendous value. Its tender leaves are rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, providing an impressive amount of nutrition from a plant that asks very little in return. It's also remarkably forgiving. Miss a watering now and then? Spinach often recovers quickly. Not enough sunlight? Growth may slow slightly, but the plants usually continue producing healthy leaves. Unlike many delicate vegetables, spinach tolerates small mistakes without serious consequences. It may never become the most dramatic feature in the garden. It won't tower over surrounding plants or steal the spotlight. But it will continue doing exactly what it does best, providing fresh, nutritious greens with dependable consistency. And for many gardeners, that reliability is one of its greatest qualities. 7. Bush beans. If you want an abundant harvest without spending countless hours maintaining your garden, bush beans are an excellent choice. Unlike climbing bean varieties that require trellises, stakes, or elaborate support systems, bush beans grow as compact, self-supporting plants. Simply plant the seeds, and they do most of the work themselves. As they mature, the plants quickly develop into neat, bushy mounds covered with healthy green foliage. Soon, delicate blossoms begin to appear, followed by clusters of crisp, tender beans ready for harvest. Once production starts, it rarely slows down immediately. Bush beans are well known for producing generous harvests over a relatively short period. In just a few weeks after planting, you can begin picking fresh beans, and during peak production, new harvests are often ready every few days. Their care is refreshingly simple. They don't require complicated feeding schedules, heavy pruning, or constant supervision. Give them plenty of sunshine, regular watering, and basic attention, and they'll usually reward you with an impressive crop. For beginning gardeners, their predictability makes them especially satisfying. There's very little guesswork involved. Plant the seeds, provide the essentials, watch them grow, harvest the beans. One of their most valuable benefits, however, takes place beneath the surface. As members of the legume family, bush beans naturally improve the soil. Beneficial bacteria living on their roots capture nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into nutrients that enrich the ground for future crops. In other words, they're helping feed your garden while feeding you at the same time. When the growing season ends, the soil is often healthier and better prepared for whatever you decide to plant next. Their compact growth habit is another reason they're so practical. Bush beans fit comfortably into raised beds, containers, vegetable rows, and small gardens without taking up excessive space. They don't require perfect growing conditions. They don't ask for constant attention. Yet they consistently reward gardeners with dependable harvests season after season. Simple, productive, and remarkably easy to grow, bush beans remain one of the most reliable vegetables for gardeners of every experience level. 8. Kale. Kale has long been recognized as one of the most durable and reliable vegetables you can grow. While some crops struggle when conditions become less than ideal, kale has an impressive ability to keep growing through changing weather and occasional gardening mistakes. A cool spell arrives? Kale keeps thriving. The weather turns warmer? It adapts surprisingly well. Forget to water it once? More often than not, it recovers with little trouble. Its natural toughness allows it to succeed where many other vegetables begin to decline. One of kale's greatest advantages is its long harvesting season. Instead of producing a single crop, it continues supplying fresh leaves for months. By regularly picking the larger outer leaves while leaving the center untouched, the plant keeps producing new growth throughout the season. In many gardens, kale remains productive well into autumn. In regions with mild winters, it may even continue growing through the colder months. Interestingly, chilly temperatures often improve its flavor, making the leaves sweeter and less bitter than they were during warmer weather. Kale isn't a vegetable that rushes through its life cycle. Instead, it establishes itself, grows steadily, and rewards gardeners with a dependable supply of fresh greens over an extended period. Its care is refreshingly uncomplicated. It doesn't require perfect soil, frequent fertilizing, or constant attention. Give it regular watering, adequate sunlight, and basic care, and it usually performs exceptionally well. Its upright growth habit is another bonus. Unlike sprawling vegetables that quickly take over the garden, kale grows neatly in place, making it ideal for raised beds, containers, and gardens where space is limited. Nutritionally, it's difficult to beat. Packed with vitamins, minerals, fiber, and powerful antioxidants, kale delivers outstanding health benefits while asking very little from the gardener in return. Perhaps its greatest strength, however, is consistency. It keeps growing, it keeps producing, and it continues rewarding your efforts even when conditions aren't perfect. That kind of dependability makes kale one of the smartest vegetables you can add to almost any garden. 9. Swiss chard. Swiss chard doesn't always receive the attention it deserves, but it has earned a place among the easiest and most productive vegetables for home gardeners. In many ways, it combines the best qualities of several popular leafy greens. It offers the toughness and resilience of kale while providing the continuous harvesting ability that makes lettuce so rewarding to grow. Once established, Swiss chard grows steadily with very little maintenance. It tolerates a wide range of weather conditions and continues producing whether temperatures are cool or warm. Rather than slowing down with every change in the forecast, it keeps developing fresh new leaves throughout much of the season. Harvesting couldn't be easier. Instead of pulling up the entire plant, simply remove the larger outer leaves while leaving the center intact. New foliage continues emerging from the middle, allowing the same plant to provide harvest after harvest for many months. Its durability is another reason gardeners appreciate it. Swiss chard tolerates occasional dry periods, handles small growing mistakes with ease, and is generally slower to bolt than spinach when temperatures begin to rise. Even after minor setbacks, it often bounces back quickly. Beyond its productivity, Swiss chard is one of the most attractive vegetables you can grow. Its colorful stems appear in brilliant shades of red, yellow, orange, pink, and white, creating a display that's every bit as decorative as many flowering plants. Few vegetables combine beauty and usefulness so naturally. Swiss chard also adapts well to different growing spaces. Whether planted in traditional garden beds, raised planters, patio containers, or smaller urban gardens, it performs reliably without demanding much extra care. Like kale and spinach, it's packed with valuable nutrients, supplying an excellent source of vitamins, minerals, and beneficial antioxidants. Perhaps the best thing about Swiss chard is the balance it offers. It asks very little, yet it gives so much in return. Minimal maintenance, months of fresh harvests, reliable performance from beginning to end. 10. Potatoes. Many people assume potatoes are difficult to grow, but they're actually one of the simplest and most rewarding crops for gardeners of any experience level. Unlike many vegetables that begin from tiny seeds, potatoes are usually grown from pieces of seed potato. Each section contains small buds capable of producing an entirely new plant, and before long, those plants begin forming clusters of potatoes beneath the soil. Once they're planted, potatoes require surprisingly little attention. Because the harvest develops underground, the crop enjoys natural protection from many common garden problems. You don't need to inspect every leaf each day or constantly worry about maintaining perfect growing conditions. Good soil, occasional watering, a little patience, that's often all they need. One of the greatest pleasures comes at harvest time. Unlike vegetables that are picked from vines or stems, potatoes remain hidden beneath the surface until digging day. Every shovel of soil feels like opening a treasure chest as smooth, freshly grown potatoes appear one after another. The harvest is often more generous than many beginners expect. A single potato plant can produce numerous potatoes, providing an impressive return from very little effort. Storage is another reason potatoes remain such a popular crop. While many vegetables need to be eaten within days of harvesting, properly cured and stored potatoes can last for weeks or even months, giving you a dependable food supply long after the growing season ends. They're also incredibly flexible when it comes to where they're grown. Traditional garden beds, raised beds, grow bags, containers, large pots, and even simple buckets can all produce excellent potato harvests. No matter how much gardening space you have, potatoes can usually find a place. Throughout most of the season, they remain remarkably low maintenance. No constant pruning, no complicated feeding schedule, no daily attention, simply plant them, allow nature to do its work, and enjoy the satisfaction of uncovering your harvest when the time is right. Potatoes are a perfect reminder that some of the easiest vegetables to grow can also be among the most productive. For anyone looking to harvest plenty of fresh food without spending countless hours in the garden, potatoes are an outstanding choice.